Well, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to an installment of Social Studies with me, Mr. Brooks. I'm really looking forward to today's lesson. We're going to be talking about Lord of the Flies and how that relates to human nature. So let's go ahead and jump into this. We're real limited on time today. But first, quick check-in. How's everybody doing? Turn on your videos. Give me a thumbs up. Thumbs to the side or thumbs down, wherever you're at. Okay, good. Looks like a lot of us are feeling good. Some of us are just feeling okay. But I'm going to go ahead and dive into this. Good to see everyone. If you haven't turned on your video, please do so I can see everybody on there. Remember to mute. Okay. So, like I said before, we're going to be talking about Lord of the Flies and how that relates to the commentary on human nature. Our essential question: do human beings need rules and authority to keep them in check? The agenda below there, do now activity, video, and we'll pause to take notes. And then we'll check for comprehension at the end of this. Okay, so let's dive into that do now. Do you think people are fundamentally evil or fundamentally good? So go ahead and type your responses in the chat box. Okay. All right. Looks like it's pretty evenly split. Half are saying yes, half are saying no. Kind of about what I expected. And let's go ahead and move into the video and talk a little more about this concept.
Have you ever wondered what would happen in a society if all of a sudden there was no one around to enforce the law or rules? Maybe it would be a wonderful event where everyone could live according to his or her own dictates and goodwill would prevail. Or maybe the opposite would occur and chaos and mayhem would ensue. These are a few of the questions that author William Golding asks in his novel Lord of the Flies. Are people inherently good and evil is an external condition that invades that goodness? Or is evil an internal condition kept in check by the rules and norms of society?
Okay, so be thinking about your answer to the do now. Keep that in mind. You don't need to take notes, but I just want you to reflect on what you had said and think about that as we're listening to this video.
Golding wrote this novel as a response to Coral Island, an earlier novel that is.
Okay, so take a note about that. Golding wrote Lord of the Flies as a response to the Coral Island.
Espoused the idea that people are basically good unless they are tempted by evil and give in to it. Golding, however, utilized the teachings of psychologist Sigmund Freud, who suggested that there is evil in every.
Okay, another important influencing factor. Okay, so who was Golding influenced by? Here's our clue. Okay, so take a note. This book, Lord of the Flies, was very much influenced by Sigmund Freud's work.
Everyone that must be kept in check by the conscience. Interestingly, if we look at Lord of the Flies as an allegory or cautionary tale, we can see elements of both sides of the inherently good or inherently evil argument around human nature. Early in the novel, we see elements that support the idea that humans are inherently and essentially good people until they are tempted by evil. For example, early in the book, the boys have been through a harrowing ordeal that leaves them stranded on a deserted island without adult supervision or any construct of their society. Yet they set about replicating that society in a democratic and fair way. As one of the protagonists, Jack, exclaims, "We've got to have rules and obey them. After all, we are not savages. We're English, and the English are best at everything. So we've got to do the right things." Even though he references a biased position, English are the best at everything, as readers we are comforted knowing that the boys will rely on what they have been taught and what has been instilled in them because they are good boys. They are listening to their consciences and working at creating a microcosm of their home society, allocating jobs, electing a leader, and using the conch to make sure that all voices are heard. These are concrete examples of our first premise that essentially humans are good unless they are tempted by evil. Yet, as we will soon learn, the internal battle between good and evil will.
Okay, so for those of you that had said yes, we are basically good. There's some evidence for you that has just been offered. Again, you don't need to take notes on that. I just I want you to think about that as we're listening.
Will reach a turning point with catastrophic consequences. The opposite position of the idea that humans are essentially good is that human nature is easily tempted and needs laws and society to keep us in check. Since the boys' initial attempt to replicate their home society was successful, their descent into hedonism and loss of conscience is all the more striking. As time passes and their morals begin to decay, they begin to fear a superstition they call the beast. However, as they soon discover, the real beast is the monster of the dark side of their own human nature. In Chapter 5, the boys are discussing the threat of the beast. One of the protagonists, Simon, wonders about the origin of the beast. What I mean is, maybe it's only us. Although at this point he does not fully understand his own musings, he suggests the possibility that perhaps the real evil to fear is already within them. Later in a vision, the Lord of the Flies, a severed pig's head left as an offering to the beast, speaks to him, confirming his earlier hunch. There isn't anyone to help you, only me, and I'm the beast. Fancy thinking the beast is something you can hunt and kill. You knew, didn't you? I'm part of you. In increasing measure for the duration of the novel, Golding illustrates his own belief in the inherent dark side of human nature, culminating in the savage murder of Piggy, representing reason and intellect, to the law.
Okay, take a note on this. Okay, the savage murder of Piggy was symbolic to brutality overcoming intellect and reason. That brutality actually triumphs intellect and reason. So take a note on that. We'll be checking in on that at the end.
Loss of the signal fire, representing the boys' desire to remain in their now barbaric condition.
Okay, he quickly just went over that. The signal fire, which the boys had made at the beginning, at the end of the book, they stopped tending to this signal fire, which demonstrated their desire to remain in this barbaric state. Okay, so they wanted to stay in this current state of chaos and barbaric nature that they had sort of declined into. Take a note on that. I'll give you a second to take a note on that.
Desire to remain in their now barbaric condition. While one might look to the circumstances as being the reason the boys descended into savagery, Golding would disagree. He did not view the boys as victims. Instead, he portrays this loss of innocence as the natural progression when humans are left to their own devices without the civilizing force of society.
Okay, so there you have it. Again, this is a quick lesson, but that's his views on the state of human nature and whether or not we need laws and rules to keep us in check. So let's go ahead and do a quick comprehension check based on what we just talked about, what we just learned. And so use your notes. Okay, question 1. What famous psychologist influenced William Golding's Lord of the Flies novel? So go ahead and type your answers in the chat box. Okay. Good. We'll go back over these in just a moment. Question 2, Lord of the Flies is a response to what novel? Okay, put your answers in the chat box. Question 3, in the Lord of the Flies, what does the death of Piggy represent? And question 4, in The Lord of the Flies, one of the first things the boys do to help in the aid of their rescue is build a signal fire. Towards the end of the novel, they are no longer keeping it lit. What does this symbolize? Okay. All right. Gave you some time to answer those. Let's go back through these. Okay. Let's see. And show me hands. Show me hands for anyone who's confident in their answer for question 1. Okay, Juan. Yes, he says Sigmund Freud. Excellent. And let's see, the majority of you also put that. That is excellent work. Okay, Lord of the Flies 2. Sheila, you've got your hand up. Yes, correct. It was a response to Coral Island. Absolutely. Okay, in question 3, Timmy. Yes, the death of Piggy represented triumph. Remember that the motion that I had done? This is brutality, kind of squashing, smashing reason and intellect. So A was the correct answer there. And question 4 is Sheila. Yes. It is B, the boys' desire to remain in the now barbaric state. Fantastic job, you all. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing. And I had a great time, and hopefully you enjoyed the lesson. We'll see you again, same time, same place.